Hi everybody and welcome to my studio. It is me, Gideon, also known as Gideon's Light, and this is another episode of The Creative Heart. This week my prompt for you is crystal clear, and this is how I interpreted this week's prompt in my art journal. It sure was a lot of fun trying to sort of paint a crystal that has these beautiful light reflections. In fact, let me bring it up close because it's really quite pretty. So this was what I created for this week's Creative Heart prompt, and I'm curious to see how you will interpret the theme of crystal clear. There's so many ways you can do that. You can maybe draw a glass, or the ideas is really endless. So this was sort of my inspiration, but I'm also curious to see what you're gonna do with it. But before we get into that, let me show you exactly how I created this little page in my art journal. Welcome to this session. We are continuing our journey in our art journal, and it's going to be fun because today, as you heard, our theme and prompt for this week is to play with the words crystal clear. That's going to be a lot of fun. So let's set some intention for the world. Let's light a candle for this creative session and just bring ourselves out of our left brain and present with our right brain, so that we can begin to create and just take ourselves into a different mindset. So my intention is to just pray for peace in the world, and I'm thinking today of all the regions in the world that are in conflict, that is in fear, that is in lack, and being divided instead of being united. And my prayer for the world today is that we will find unity and we will find common ground and understand that we are more alike than we are different, and that there is more than enough on our planet. If we share and we take care of each other like family, then there should be no reason for conflict at all. So that is my prayer and intention for today. I pray that matters that need to be addressed of unfairness and of selfishness will become crystal clear, that motivations that is based in evil politics and selfish gain and greed and a sense of need for power will be brought to light. Crystal clear clarity, so that we know which steps to take going forward in order to bring peace to our planet. That is my intention for today. I'm going to put my crystals and my candlelight to the side. I don't want to set the studio alight like last week almost. Alrighty then, you guys. So this is my art journal, and I encourage you guys to paint along. You can use the sort of reference material I'm using. I just got an image of a beautiful crystal stone from the internet, and I also enhanced it so that there's beautiful clarity about this beautiful crystal stone. So I'm going to try today and create a crystal into my page that would represent crystal clear. So however you interpret it, crystal clear can mean something completely different to you, and you are obviously free to interpret it in your art journal any way that you feel fit. So I like to prepare my page simply because this paper is so thin. And I've also prepared a watercolor paper before the time, just to save a little bit of time on the video today. So this is 300 GSM watercolor paper, and last night I basically played with all the colors of the rainbow with a very soft wash. I allowed them to flow into each other. I even sprinkled a bit of salt on here. So we have beautiful texture and very soft pastel kind of colors that I think is beautiful, that might have or give me a bit of a rainbow inclusion in my crystal in the end of the day. So I'm going to be creating my crystal on this watercolor paper, and I will collage it into my art journal. My art journal I've also just taped off with masking tape. I like to have a clear edge around the edges, and I have decided to sort of work with the main colors that I see reflected here in my crystal. I see blue and I see green. So I have decided to just bring a little bit of this green. It's called Monastral Green from Montmartre, and this is cobalt blue. And I also have a bit of a gray. So I am going to prepare this foundation page today with these three colors. So I'm going to just dispense some of these colors onto my palette, and I've got my silicone paint mover here. I really like using it because I can really scrape the paint really thin, and I think that is nice to play with on our page. So this is exciting. More and more of our group members are beginning to participate in these weekly art prompts. Now you can work in a very small journal, you can work in a large journal, you can work on a canvas, or even just a piece of paper. You don't have to work in an art journal. If you don't have an art journal, that's totally okay. I'm just going to smear this excess paint on there. Whatever is comfortable for you. And a lot of artists out there think, having an art journal is a waste of time because you can't sell the art, you can't display the art. Well, I actually think that not all art needs to be about selling it or having monetary value. I'm just gonna look. Oh, sorry guys. Look for my other grey. I just realized that the entire pot of grey is already dry. So let me just quickly find my other grey. That's titanium. It's in here somewhere. Found it. Okay. Yes, so whatever surface inspires you to work on, or whatever you have available, that's all perfectly okay. So just be inspired. You will be amazed at what you learn about yourself, your own art ethos, your own style, in playing in an art journal. And there's also another benefit. Something happens on an art journal that I seldom sort of see happening on a canvas, in that sense that you give yourself permission to play and not to worry too much about performance, and you have a more childlike approach to your medium, which is excellent, because the minute you give yourself permission to play and to experiment and just to have fun, then all of a sudden it's very easy to switch over to your right brain and begin to have fun with your art materials. And that is basically what I want to encourage you to explore along with me. So I'm going to just place some pure color on my page, and I'm going to allow the paint to sort of mix on my paper, and let's see what happens, and then we can always add more to that. So let me put that in my water, bring forth my paint scraper, and just begin to work this paint into the surface of my page. and not worry too much about what marks it's making, how it's mixing, or how it's coming together. You can work in one direction or you can work in multiple directions. Really, there's no right or wrong. That's the exciting bit. I find it quite liberating to free myself from the must-dos and the must-haves in life, because I think that can hold us back. We can sometimes think, if I have the same brush as Gideon, or if I have the same paint, then I will do the exercise. Or my, favorite excuse that I find amongst my clients is, I don't have time. I believe that you do have time. I think it's more a matter of you tell yourself that you don't have time because you are in some way, shape, or form protecting yourself from maybe fear of failure or fear of success. That can be equally as disempowering. It's basically just the foundation of it is fear. Because I believe that you have pockets of time that the universe bless you with, and if you're prepared for those pockets of time that arrive in your life, unplanned, then, you can make use of it. And what do I mean with that? Well, a pocket of time for me is like when you've planned to do something or you've got a schedule for the day and then suddenly your day changes. That is a pocket of time. So if you are ready and prepared with an art journal and some art supplies wherever you are, then you can make use of that pocket of time instantly and, create some beautiful art in your art journal. And it doesn't matter whether you paint or whether you just doodle with pencil or with markers. That's entirely up to you, But the benefits that you gain from these small little creative exercises are, the same in that sense that you will relax, you will open yourself more to your right brain, to intuition, to inspiration, to sort of just having a conversation with your higher self. And you will be amazed at how you problem solve while you create, not only for your art, but for your life as well. Now this page is getting nice and saturated, and we have these beautiful colors. We've got some gray, we've got some cobalt blue, we've got some monastic green, and I've now decided in the end to work a little bit more in a horizontal fashion. Let me just get a little bit more paint on here. Right there. Yes. Alrighty. That's it, guys. The foundation for this page is made. I'm quite happy with it. So I'm going to put that aside to dry. And then when we return, we're going to start playing with this crystal idea to represent crystal clear in our art journal. Alrighty then. Let me put that aside. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back this watercolor page of mine, and what I think I must do is I want to maybe use masking tape to mask this entire section and then basically draw this crystal shape on there like so, and then I can map these particular facets of the crystal on there, and I'm going to try and cut it out with an X-Acto knife. This sounds like a mission. And then have a very clear edge. I think it's all about the edges that will make this successful. Now you can totally freehand this. If you have a nice square brush or a flat brush, it will definitely give you those edges. but I'm going to try and get very nice clear edges to bring this contrast forward. And I'm also planning to play a little bit more with watercolor and maybe even some gouache, because there's some areas of very strong opacity and very strong color that I want to sort of bring forward in this little exercise of crystal clarity. Now, upside down, you can see that's literally like a landscape of some sorts. There's some trees, there's some sky, maybe there's the sun, and it's reflecting all kinds of things in the room or studio where this crystal was photographed. So we are free to interpret that in any way, shape, or form. But I thought having some rainbow inclusions here will definitely benefit me in that regard. So that's going to be my game plan. So I am basically going to tape this down. Now, one tip I can give you, if you're going to follow my route of taping masking tape on your paper, first let the piece of masking tape that you're going to use, just stick it down on your pants or something, on a piece of material, just so that you can sort of eliminate some of the tackiness of the glue of your masking, so that when you pull this off, that you don't tear your paper. That's all I want to say, and we will talk more about that as we go. So I'm going to quickly just stick down some masking tape on you. I don't want to bore you with the boring details of sticking down masking tape. But when I come back, I will draw this crystal on the tape that I've put down. So I'll see you guys now. That when I come to cut it out with an X-Acto knife, that there's no gaps between these papers. So I've just laid out a basic grid of this crystal. It's not an exact science. I'm not trying to copy this exactly. I'm just trying to get an idea of sort of where there might be an angle that would contribute to the beauty and interest of this page. So I really just looked at those shapes and tried to sort of find it on the crystal. So, it's really very basic. It's not, I'm not trying to replicate this crystal. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to follow my lines and very carefully cut along these lines with my X-Acto knife, so that I can peel them away like little stickers. This is my plan, people. We will see if it works. I'm hoping that it will work. So you guys will be my witness. If you come to the creative practice with an open mind to experiment and play and try something that you've never tried before, then you know what? I think it's already a success, because you are learning something new, and you might discover a process that you enjoy, and that you would want to maybe repeat and take it to a canvas, or a piece of paper that you do want to frame and or maybe gift or hang in your house, whatever. So I'm hoping I will remember all the lines that I have drawn here, and just cut through it. How will I see? I guess we will find out when we peel this away, if we remembered to cut all the angles or not. So I think therein lies the meditation today. We have this opportunity to just be present and mindful and create crystal clarity in our art journal. So while we are working with this awesome prompt and theme, you could also ask yourself the question, where in your life do you need more clarity? Or would clarity benefit you from making a decision or to change a behavior or to, adopt a plan to tackle something that you are facing? And one of the things you can do is to ask yourself, what are maybe some of the things that you are worried about, that you are constantly, worrying and fretting about? You find your thoughts are constantly going there and trying to argue things away or plan for, one or other stressful situation, and you might not know how to deal with it or what decision to make. So make note of those things that you are constantly worried about and constantly losing sleep over. And one of the things that I like to do is to actually write it down. Either write it down in your art journal or write yourself a letter about it. So this is for you, it's not for the situation or if a person is involved. And just get it out of your system. Because I find, either talking about it or talking to your art journal, if you sort of, write a letter and say, "Dear journal," and just begin to, pour out your thoughts, your fears and concerns in that way, you will be amazed at what perspective you get out of it, because you will gain some insight in that process, I promise you, and you will get some clarity and you will realize some things, either, that it's maybe wise to let it go, or that you can make a plan about it or implement some action steps that would change the situation in a way that you no longer have to worry about it and waste mental energy on it, waste rest on it. So, use your art journal in a way like this so that you can get clarity and know what to do about the situation that you're worrying about. So crystal clear is definitely something that you can benefit from. So not only is it a theme for your art journal, but it's also a theme for your life. I think I already cut that, but it wouldn't hurt trying again. I do want to make sure this will all peel away nicely. Let's see. Did I do this? I can't remember. It's hard to talk and concentrate and think and plan. But it sure is fun. Just want to make dead sure, because I don't want to start peeling these things away and then. But you can always cut some more then. Let's try that one in case we missed that one. Yes. And I think for last one, this one, I don't think I did this one. That feels like I cut it. Okay, cool. So now my plan is to peel off some of these types. I sort of got this idea from the diamond painting, and you might even need a little bit of a stick with a little bit of a nose, what do you call it, a point. Okay, but do I want to start with the biggest one in the middle? Maybe not, hey? Let's start with the smaller things on the side. I think that will be a better idea. Let's get into this little orange corner here. Okay, that I didn't cut. Let's just make sure about this little corner here. I'm also not pressing very hard with my X-Acto knife because I don't want to cut my paper too much. Yeah. Awesome. There we go. Our first little bit of paper is exposed. I think we can go ahead and remove this one as well. So I'm going to go slow and just show you guys here sort of what the game plan is. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the rest off camera because I don't want to bore you to tears with me cutting masking tape. You will get the gist of sort of my plan and idea, and we'll take it from there. You can also heat up your masking tape if you're scared that it's going to tear your paper underneath. Let me see. Okay, this whole little strippy can come out. But now let's just do those two first. Okay, so we've got two open pieces here. Nice. And this is going to give us a very nice clear edge. And what I've got here is, shall I do the gouache now? Yeah, that piece there looks very opaque to me. So you can use whatever you've got. You can use acrylic paint. You can use your watercolor. I've got some gouache here. And I think that is what I'm going to use to paint this little section. I'm going to get a tiny little square brush. I'm going to wet it with water, bring my tissue closer. Okay, so we've got a bit of a white underpainting there. So let me just spray my gouache a little bit. I'm going to need that and that. I think I must put the white on top of the orange. Let's mix a nice darker brown orange. Now, if you've never worked with gouache before, gouache is like watercolor. It's just opaque. So you can reactivate it at any time. And I noticed that the light in this section here moves in this direction, very linear. Okay, and now let's go for a brighter orange, more a clean orange, maybe with a bit of yellow. I'm going to rinse and go for the yellow with a bit of white. Here's a nice bright color. And again, it doesn't have to be exact. It can just be an inspiration. Now I'm going to put clean white. I think I need a dash of yellow through this middle zone. And just blend it in. You can now see how the protection of the masking tape is benefiting me here. I'm just going to get my other white gouache here. This is, no, not the right one. Where did I throw my gouache? Well, you know, it's not too bad. It's a zinc white. It won't be too bad. I think investing in a good quality Winsor & Newton titanium white gouache is always a very good investment. But this zinc white here will also do the trick. It's all about those highlights. Now, this little block over here is basically also the same color. You can hear me picking away here. Here we go. Excellent. Okay. Also a nice orange. So these little blocks that I find very opaque, I'm going to do with gouache. And then some of the other areas that I want more translucent, I will do with watercolor. So it's going to all contribute in the end. And it's a good exercise in color mixing, and you really learn to look at your source material with a whole new eye. So I'm going to fast forward through the rest of this for you guys, so that you can get to the end of this beautiful little painting with me. I'll see you now. Right, we've come to the point in this crystal clear painting where we can look at our highest contrast points. Now I know if you look at this painting of mine, you might think, sure, that's very dark. And how is that, crystal clear? But if you look at the reference material I'm working on, the light reflection areas really is in a very few zones, and I kept them deliberately for last. We have a bright turquoise zone over here. We have almost a pure white going into a turquoise here. This is almost entirely white. And then we have a nice sort of shard of light down here. And then we have the brightest point, which we will add with some gouache over there. So let's get into adding that. So I'm going to just pre-wet this area so that we can play with the turquoise. And you can see now, even though it was a patient job up until this point, that it was totally worth it, because I've got some lovely clean edges that I could play with. And that really adds to the brightness of this piece. And the underpainting that I have is not entirely wasted. It really is all present there, and it just gives those beautiful sort of inclusions and facets of the crystal that one can see when you look at a crystal up close and you move it about in the light. I quite like that. I'm going to leave these horizontal sort of lines. Now there's a little corner here that is nice and deep, and I'm going to go for the cobalt blue there so that there is a bit of contrast, and it's from this corner and it goes lighter towards that edge. I'm going to rinse off and just bring in some clean water on this little corner and just let that blend in nicely. Now over here, I'm also going to bring in a clean edge with a pure turquoise. My turquoise watercolor is almost finished, you guys. It's core watercolor. It is rather expensive, but so worth every cent. So I'm gonna just use clean water to blend that edge away. I will leave that to dry, or no, I won't. Let's go straight in there with a square brush. I'm gonna get my white gouache here, and I'm going to lighten this area here. Giving us a nice clean edge that blends into this turquoise that's still wet. Beautiful. I think I'm going to add a few horizontal I need to just improve the fluidity of that paint there. And just talk a little bit about those horizontal lines that I see. On this little piece here. That's nice. Okie dokie. While we're playing with the white gouache, I'm gonna brighten up this area. So you can see if you've got a flat square brush, you can get beautiful clean edges. And even though this is very white, there's still a very soft reflection of light coming through from the underpainting. I just want to really make this the lightest piece on the crystal. And the gouache is giving me that opacity that I'm looking for. Alrighty then. Now this little bottom piece down here, what shall we do with this? Okay, we've got some blue. Again, I'm going to play with a bit of the cobalt blue here. I'm going to switch to my fine liner. With a bit of clean water, just bleed this out into this corner. That's nice. And I also need a little bit of this green just to clean up that edge. Now there next to that blue is a little bit of contrasting orange with a bit of pink. Where is my magenta? If your watercolor is very dry, just mist it with a bit of water to help sort of loosen up the pigment to give when you want to go and select some. I need a bit of a brighter moment there. Beautiful. I quite like that. So in here, we've got some moments going into a bit of a lavender next to this green coming down here like so, just giving us a bit of a bend, very lightly, not dark at all. I'm gonna just use my wet brush here just to soften some of these edges. And then when this is dry, I will peel away all the other tape. Now over here is quite a strong blue edge. That's nice. And over there as well. Awesome. Okay, let's get back into the gouache moment there. I'm gonna use my round brush, get into this fresh gouache, get it quite thick because I want to make sure that I can make a beautiful round moment here where the light is catching the crystal. And then we have a very soft, shiny reflection there. And I'm just using a dry brush technique there just to talk a little bit about a sparkle. Make this circle a little bit more uneven. Then we also have a brighter point over here. Just want to come clean this up a little bit. Let's add some water to my white gouache. We have a nice clean edge there as well. Over here as well. That feels so good. Right, you guys, I'm happy with where we are right now. Just close my door. But I do feel that I will need to darken this area a little bit more for this to read as a highlight. So let me show you how I will fix something like that. I'm going to use my angle brush here, simply because it has a nice edge to it. And I'm going to pre-wet this area with some water, being careful to place the water just in the area where I want the wash to happen. I'm going to use my cyan blue with a little bit of a grey, just to make it a bit deeper. And I'm just going to do a very light wash over this part of the painting. Also leaving my highlight alone that I've added in, just so that when this dries, this little edge here will appear lighter. And there's some salt still on there. There we go. That looks good. Alrighty then, while that is drying, we can begin to very gently take off our tape. Oopsie daisy. Now there's a good example for you of how your tape can tear your paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dry this again and heat up the tape so that the glue will release. It's not a crisis. I mean, I can cut the crystal out, which I'm going to do anyway, but I do want to show you how far we've come with our tape plan for the day. Right, that's heated up. Let me just see if everything is rolling like it should. Wonderful. Okay, let's try again. Just go slow. That's the whole sort of idea. Ooh. There we go. Look what a beautiful edge we have. Right, you guys, you can see beautiful crystal there. but the values of the entire page is just too similar for me. So I'm going to darken this background so that this crystal will stand out a little bit more. And I've decided to do it with a wash of Payne's Grey. So I'm just going to mist my page with a bit of water just to make the paint flow a little bit easier. I'm going to use my mop brush here and let's get into it. The background is not precious, it's just a background, and I'm going to just blend it in very nicely with my mop brush. And it's okay if some areas are darker and some areas are lighter. That will give us a very nice flow. And you can also always remove color while it's wet. But I do like it. Let's spray a bit more water. Nice. I'm going to dry this with a hairdryer, and when we come back, we're going to collage our beautiful crystal onto our page. Excellent. Right. This looks so much better. I like the depth, and that is going to help me now to really allow my crystal to shine. Isn't that beautiful? It stands out very nicely now. So I'm thinking I'm gonna collage it in a diagonal fashion. It's far more interesting than just horizontal or vertical. I think that it looks like it's standing in a beautiful angle. I think I might even take it slightly off center. I think that's even more interesting. But the background now also needs a little bit of oomph. So I think I'm going to use my metallic turquoise jelly roll, and I'm just going to do like these crystal grids and sort of just bring in this whole sort of angular thing that the crystal shape sort of gives me. It's just something reflective and beautiful on the background to make this a little bit more interesting and beautiful to behold. So very nice angles, and as you build on it, try not to do horizontal lines in the middle, or anything in the middle can look a little bit boring. So do your angles and change things up. Think X marks the spot kind of thing. And this metallic jelly roll is just standing out so nicely now on this dark background. Skip some of the lines and make it bigger, change the direction of the angle, and that will also give you a little bit more of a crystal kind of vibe. That's pretty. Maybe a tiny triangle here and there. That looks nice. Not too much, but enough so that it reads facets of a polished or cut stone. Just going to do that line again. Yes, a little bit brighter. I think we need some break up here as well. Let's see if we place our stone like that. I think maybe some more detail here can be interesting. Let's bring these lines together. And then change the angle again. I think something to lead the eye up here. Something like that. Oh, that's beautiful. Let's develop the complexity here a bit more. I'm also going to add another line here. Awesome. I'm happy with that. Right, let's get gluing. I'm going to use my PVA glue because again, this is watercolor paper and I need a bit of a stronger glue. So I'm really going to focus on the middle to put enough glue down. And then we're going to finish up our crystal. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's prompt, crystal clear. Please do this exercise in whichever way, shape or form you like in your art journal, and remember to take a photograph and share it with me. I've already shared the entire month's focus of all our prompts. It's also in the description of this video, and I'm really hoping that you guys will participate and join me in just having some fun in an art journal. And yeah, take a photograph and share it with me. It's so much more fun when people participate and share their art and their interpretation of the prompt. If you want to join my private art group on Facebook, again, just look at the description of this video. There are a number of links that you can use. There's also a link to my Patreon. While I'm holding this paper down to just settle, during the month of May coming up, it will be a focus on the lotus flower. No mud, no lotus is the theme. And there will be a number of classes available on my Patreon for you guys to participate in. The first one is actually entitled No Mud, No Lotus, and that is literally a creative coaching class where you can use the theme to really work on your sort of understanding of life challenges, if you metaphorically sort of call that the mud in your life. We learn and grow from these experiences, and through our art that we will be painting a lotus, it's beginner friendly. You sort of have the opportunity to explore some of these challenges and difficulties that you faced in your life before and learn how you can rise above it in order to, build on your resilience as a person through your art. That is absolutely wonderful and exciting. And then once that is finished in the month of May, there will also be a watch along or paint along where I do a lotus in a sunset. That's absolutely beautiful, all in acrylic. And I might even throw in a bit of a gouache session for you guys there as well. I've done a number of small gouache paintings. That was really a lot of fun. I like to sort of look at artists that inspire me and sort of try and copy their style in a way in my gouache journal. And I learned so much from copying established artists that has excellent skill, and you realize so many little things as you follow along sort of their painting to see how they sort of problem solved and worked with the composition and the color story. You see their depth and light, and in that way, when you take it to your own canvas, you can personalize it and sort of encapsulate that style in your own way. And there we have it. We have crystal clarity. And this was just so much fun to incorporate this week's theme or prompt in my art journal. So how will you interpret crystal clear in your art journal? I'm curious. Please try this exercise, take a photograph and share it with me on the Creative Art group, and share how you will interpret crystal clarity in your life and in your art journal. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next week for another Creative Art episode. Stay creative and bye for now.